Happy Thursday, happy Thursday, happy Thursday. This is Forrest out in St. Louis. Sitting here listening to a little bit of music while I'm doing some prospecting and recruiting and business building and hanging out with the wife. And just been a very, very cool day. Did some running around, actually went to a store and found toilet paper and paper towels. It was almost like coming out of the caveman age. We actually pulled into the parking lot, walked in the store, in and out in 5 minutes with toilet paper and paper towels. And it was the middle of the day. It wasn't all sold out. So as the shift goes around, for all of those that were in panic mode and have 3 basements full of toilet paper, Kimberly Clark thanks you from the bottom of their heart because they got a big old bank account now. That's all I can say about that. So they got some fat checks going on there, and the people that had stocks in them are probably just jumping on like, buy more toilet paper, spread the rumor more, tell them they're out of toilet paper, and create a panic and freak people out. And still trying to figure out what you're supposed to do with the toilet paper. Maybe it's like if you saw a coronavirus coming at you, throw a roll of toilet paper at them or something like, I got him. I got that coronavirus right in his face.
As long as you got to put glue on it.
Got to put glue on it?
Mm-hmm.
So what would you do? Like soak the toilet paper in sanitizer.
Yeah.
And then wrap yourself with it you'd be like a sanitizer mummy, right? So just having some fun here. So on the serious note, one is I want to give a huge shout out to my coach, my mentor, the person that calls me a rock star and is absolutely just helped me take it to the next level. Miss Elsa Morgan down. She's actually in the future. She's in Australia, so it's actually tomorrow there. I think, today's Thursday, about 8 or so. It's somewhere around noontime there tomorrow already. So she's actually in the future. So huge shout out.
Is she in the future? Okay.
Yeah, she's actually in the future. So very, very cool. Maybe they'll tell us if there's more toilet paper coming because they're actually in the future. So anyway, want to talk about that, and I just want to give her a huge shout out. Had an awesome post from another one of my marketing friends today that just had me in tears of the whole point of showing up on a daily basis and doing this deal of making that extreme impact is it's not just about me. It's about showing up and making that impact and whatever that impact is, whatever. And I talk about the empty refrigerators. That empty refrigerator might be a mind shift for somebody. It might be an attitude shift for somebody. It might be just a realization like I'm not unique shift for somebody. That empty refrigerator can represent a lot of stuff. It can represent change. It could represent maybe a hole of anger and a pit of feeling and people actually love me and care about me and respect me. And I'm actually going to go down there. I wasn't going to talk about that today, but I think I am since it just sort of popped into my heart and I've been thinking about it. One of the challenges that I've had all my life, and I think it's probably the first time I've ever shared this, is my coach calls me a rock star, and I've never felt like a rock star. I've never felt like a champion. I've never felt like, on that side of just really like, hey, really appreciated. I've got value to add, and it's always just sort of show up. And it's for me, it's like believing that now is the realization when I saw that post today, and I've seen some other ones too. Some other people comment, hey, thanks. I really appreciate what you said on your live. I really appreciate what you said in that interview. I really appreciate what you said in the group. And it's finally starting to take a hold and making me feel like a champion, making me feel like I'm really showing up and making a change and making an impact. And it feels good. It really, really feels good to be like that. Hey, Bobby, what's going on? Hey, Rick, what's going on? So if you're like me, we're not all like bulletproof. I show up on these Facebook lives and going all the way back. I remember when I first got my first speaking engagement, and I'll tell you a little bit, it's not really a speaking engagement. I had transferred schools and I showed up and it was like the last day to register for classes. And I had to, it was freshman year, and I registered all the mandatory classes, and I had to do 2 electives. I don't remember what the other elective was, but there was only 1 space left, and it was in drama class. And I was like, there's no freaking way that I'm going to do drama. And somehow the counselor, being the slick counselor that they are, using the magic words or whatever it is, they're probably a freaking Marine Corps recruiter now or something, but convinced me that, oh, it's going to be okay. Just take the class. And if you don't like it, you can change. Well, that was full of malarkey. She knew, or I can't even remember if it was a man or a woman this time. But anyway, I ended up getting into drama class. And I remember sitting in class, sitting in there, and it was like this room that had a stage. It was like 2 rows of chairs forever long. And had 1 row of first people in this row and the other people. And I came in, and I was literally like, the same day I registered for class, the same day I registered was the same day school started. So I literally had my books, had my backpack. Somebody showed me where the drama room was, because the campus had 7 different buildings. So I walked over there and I went in there, and where they did like theater, they had a huge auditorium and then had a classroom at the end. And I walked down the hall, and I walked and opened the door, and all these people, and everybody just, there's like 2 rows of people. Imagine this, they all turn and look. There's me, little skinny black dude with the afro, only the 3rd black kid in the entire school out of 365 people. I was like the 3rd one. So, and I don't even want to talk about the other 2 right now, but it was me. And I came from, it was funny, when I went to school, I started there. That was high school, but I actually started in the 8th grade the year prior to in another city. Then we moved to this one. And I was wearing polyester pants, big lapel collars. You're straight out of what was the one with what was this guy, the dancing guy, babe? What was
John Travolta?
John Travolta. I was John Travolta with an afro. That was me when I started school, right? So it took a while to acclimate to blue jeans and cowboy boots and doing that. So anyway, I walk into class. I still have a big afro, and I walk in and everybody looks at me, and I just basically sat in the chair closest to the door as I possibly could. And Miss Dana Tipton, who was the teacher at the time, she welcomed me to the class, and I was like, okay, this is cool. And they're going through all this, and I don't know, maybe it had been a week that school had been running already, because it seemed like they were doing anyway. It was somewhere in the early parts of the year. And I'm sitting there, and they start doing these improvs. And basically, for those who don't know what an improv is where you get up on stage, there's no script, there's nothing. And the teacher would just give you a scenario, and you just built on it and improvised on the lines and the characters. So I'm sitting there, please don't call me, please don't call me, please don't call me, please don't call me, please don't call me.
Right, and your face too.
And I was just like, there's no way. So she calls this guy named Andy Ebert up, and I remember this like it was the day. And then she looks at me, and she's looking at me, and I'm looking at her, and she's looking at me, and I'm looking at her, and she's looking at me, and I'm looking at her, and she's looking at me. And I'm like, please don't call me. And she says, Anthony, why don't you go ahead? Oh, actually, maybe she called me Mr. Knight. I don't know what it was. She said, maybe she even said, hey, you. I don't know what it was, but I think she probably said Anthony. That's what I went by in school, just so you guys know. That's my middle name. Anyway, I went up on stage, and I'm standing there, and I have no clue. I'm looking at all these kids, and they're all looking at me, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm totally just going to geek out, and they're going to beat me up after class, and nobody's going to like me, and I'm going to have to go eat some worms, right? So make a long story short, my phone is just beeping off the crazy hooks because LinkedIn, I've been spending a lot of time prospecting on LinkedIn, and it's blown up. Anyway, so I'm standing up there, and she gives us a scenario, right? She says, you guys are window washers on a skyscraper, and you're up on a window washer, and Andy, you're gay. And now you got to know Andy. He's a nut. He's just like one of these guys that's just crazy, just out there. Everybody loves him. Very cool guy. And he's standing up there, and I'm going, what the heck? So, we go up, and I knew what a window washer was. So we're both going up there, and we're pretending we're washing the windows. And Andy goes through the deal, and he looks at me, and I'm just like, what is he thinking about? And then Miss Tipton gives us some little more deals, and we start da-da-da. And maybe she didn't tell us we were gay till we got up. Anyway, we're window washers. She said, anyway, he's looking at me, and he's looking at da-da-da, and he starts scooting over towards me, and I scoot over a little bit. And then I think, wait a minute. I said, I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to be gay too. So he turns around, he scoots over to me, starts looking at me, puts his hand on my shoulder, and people are just, of course, they're laughing. And I scoot over, and I'm looking at him like he's crazy. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to pretend I'm gay too. So I grabbed him, and I grabbed his head and I did one of those, what they call theater kisses, where you sort of put your hand over the other person, and I leaned him back and pretended like I was kissing him, and the place blew up. And then from then on, I was like the most popular kid in school. So it was improvised to the max, and it was crazy. And then from there went on, and it was just, everybody was like, cool, that, you know, was so much fun. And you know, it was just, it got to one of those points. I had no idea where that came from. It just like came, and it was a really cool experience to have. Well, not kissing Andy, but it was a real cool experience to see, you know, just to jump right in that. And from there, it was, you know, going through one event and then another event, and got to play, got to be the Grinch and how Grinch Stole Christmas. And it was so much fun. And they brought the television studios out, and I actually did there's a 30-minute show somewhere in the archives on Channel 7 or whatever it is, of me being the Grinch. And they actually brought the TV crews out, and they had all the people come in. It was an actual Christmas production that I got to be in. They put on TV. So it was very, very cool. It was very exciting. And from that on, I've never really had a fear of, yeah, so glad you kissed Andy. Didn't kiss him for real. Yeah. So the funny thing about it was, and every time you would get up on stage, and I don't know if anybody's ever been in acting, I would always get butterflies until the first line came out. And once the first line rolled out, the butterflies would go away. And it's like you get on stage and you're nervous and you're going through the lines and rehearsing all the acts and the scenes and the transitions and everything, and whether you're going to exit stage left or stage right. And, you know, and when you're really good at doing this, you can improvise literally on the fly. If you forget your lines, somebody else will jump in and help your line, and then it moves you to the next. And most of the time, the audience has no clue what just happened in terms of doing that. So you can improvise, you can pull some stuff in. You can just make stuff up on the fly, and you get really good at it. And it was probably one of the best things that ever happened to me in life, was being put into that class, because I showed up late for school and registered late. And as a result of that, I went through that. And of course, when I joined the Navy, I became, ended up being the Naval Gunfire Support Instructor for the entire Pacific Fleet. But as a result of that, or before going to that, I went to 6 weeks of training to teach, to learn how to speak and learn how to teach and learn how to present a course. And being the kind of guy I am, I did something a little different there as well. I worked in what they call operations, and basically we were a bunch of guys that sat in the dark with top secret clearances that talked on phones and shot missiles at people, and we did naval gunfire support and all that kind of anti-air warfare, anti-electronic warfare, all that kind of stuff. And we tracked down the bad guys, just like you see on TV, and we did all the sort of the top secret stuff. And the cool thing about that, thanks Lamont, appreciate it, salutes to you too, sir. The funny thing about it in this class was you had to do a 5-minute presentation with an intro, content, and a close on a product, just like you do on, when you're doing a Facebook Live. You do an intro and you talk about what you're going to talk about, and then you summarize what you're going to talk about, and then you close and you go out. So anyway, I'm standing up in front of the room, and I'm like, okay, what I'm going to do this on, and it's like boring stuff. I don't want to stand up and talk to people about naval gunfire support or I do that every day. I want to do something fun. So I went to Walmart and I bought a blender, right? And I basically did a presentation on how to assemble and disassemble a blender. And I included the safety features in there so you didn't cut yourself on the blades, and did the whole deal of how to turn it on, plug it in, and include all the safety features. And the room was like, is this guy nuts? And actually, he didn't give me a perfect 100 on the test. He gave me like a 95, because the only reason he gave me a 95 is because I didn't do the presentation on something actually in my line of work. But the whole point of the class was to teach you how to do a presentation. It wasn't to teach you how to be a subject matter expert on the product that you're subject matter expert in. I mean, I could have done a presentation on naval gunfire support and did all that kind of stuff and talked about grid spot converters and all that kind of stuff and a call for fire and all that terminology. But I opted to do this to prove a point that it wasn't the product that mattered, it was the presentation that mattered, right? So in doing that, again, it was part of that learning experience that I went through to just one of the things that I now have in my arsenal of experience, that I know when I'm teaching somebody, I'd never turn my back to you when I'm talking to you. In terms of doing a presentation, you always keep your face towards the front of the audience and you move. And I talk with my hands naturally, so that's just something that I do naturally, and being able to move people from the left to the right or the right to the left, or get them to start doing this in the audience, and they start nodding their head and they're doing all that kind of stuff, right? So I bet you some of you just nodded your head when I did that. So to make a long story short, all the things that have happened in my life in terms of celebrating Coach Elsa, and she just got promoted to the fact where she's going to be able to be a speaker, which is going to be so cool. I'm so excited to go see her speak. So I'm really excited about that. And I got an announcement today. I'm not going to share it with you guys. I'm going to let somebody else, but it was very, very cool and experience. But it all comes down to focus. And the thing that I really learned, and I talked about this yesterday, was taking in the interview that I had yesterday inside our 100K in our circle group was being able to take all the focus, all the distractions around the edge and just be really, really focused. And today I was sitting down, it's like, I want to be really focused. I want to know who my target audience is, and I want to stay on that target audience, and I want to use a designated script. And as a result of using that designated script, I got somebody raise their hand and said, yeah, I want more information. And I put them in my pipeline, I put them in my funnel, and I keep moving on, and I keep moving on, and I keep moving on. And as a result of continued focus, I enrolled 454 customers last month in a month that supposedly supposed to suck. And I've got 56 or 57 customers this month to date on the 9th of the month in a time that's supposed to suck. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that because if you take the COVID-19 BS out of the way, if you move that out of the way as a distraction, and we just stay focused, then we're going to be able to make an impact on the people that we need to help, the people that are laid off, the people that don't have a job, the people that are out of work, or maybe the people, now watch this, maybe the people that are already working at home, that really like the idea, like, man, this is pretty cool, that we reach out to them and say, hey, since you're working at home already, what if you put a side hustle together in an extra 30 or 45 minutes while you're working at home anyway? They've got the money coming in, so money objection should not be there. They don't have the money to invest in one of the lowest cost businesses you could ever start as a network marketing business, somewhere between, like, some of them are $1, some of them are $1,000, but you can't buy any other franchise for that, right? One of the lowest cost businesses. You can do just about any business on social media. All 670 of my customers have all come from social media. I've never met them anywhere. They're all online. They're all customers, right? So the fact that you can actually sit in front of your computer, have your desk in your office anywhere you want to, and build a business is something that 10 years ago or 20 years ago, or when I learned how to be a naval gunfire support instructor, just didn't exist. Working from home, if I was going to work from home, I had to be a handyman, a plumber, work out of my basement, maybe have a cleaning business or something like that. But when social media came along, it changed everything in the complete direction we're going. What are the steps and what are you saying? I'm not sure what you mean, Rick. So in terms of the process of being focused is, and I think I know where you're going, Rick, is the steps of being focused are simply reaching out, finding your target audience. Who is the person that you want? You need to understand what your product serves. Who is your target audience? What are they going to do? And then you specifically target that audience. You specifically just stay focused on them. And I think the biggest challenge that I've seen with me is that if you're like me, is trying to do too many stuff, trying to satisfy too many people at one time. Like, okay, this person said no to this product. Well, maybe I'll try this one. Or this person said no to that opportunity. Maybe I'll try this one. What I've seen, as long as I'm focused, the success level seems to go up because that's all I'm talking about. It's just like, Bo Jackson, it was like, Bo was in everything. He played football, baseball, basketball, just about everything, and he was that kind of guy that could do that. Some of us are just really good baseball players, or some of us are just really good football players, or some of us are just really good basketball players. Some people are just really good athletes. They can do just about anything well, no matter what they do, and they excel at it. So that's not everybody. That's a very small percentage. So to be able to focus, find your product, find your customer, find the person that you want to be on your team. Now, you don't know what they look like. You don't know if they're tall, fat, skinny, white, black. You don't know. Your job and my job is to reach out to that person and ask them if they're open to taking a look at my opportunity. That's it. That's your job. That's it. That's the way we're going to make an impact. If we're going to continuously show up, we're going to make an impact so that the next time one of these freaking crazy viruses happens, something's going to happen. It's about every 10 years. So 10 years from now, you can mark your calendar down. Some cray is going to happen. but we need to be in a position when cray does happen, that we have a nice freaking income in the bank somewhere, that our life isn't going to be in freak out mode, right? We're not going to go into panic mode because we don't have an income coming in. We need to set that up now. And there's somebody out there with an empty refrigerator that needs to be filled, whether it's a mental one, a mindset one, a spiritual one. Maybe they just need to change their attitude so that they can go out and make an impact on somebody else, to make an impact on somebody else. And if we don't show up, we might be the person to affect that change. So
the light just went off.
boom, the light just went on. So find that person. And when I say that person, an avatar, use the word avatar, find that person. And the way you're going to find that person is you constantly reach out to everybody. And you got to take the fear off. Don't matter if they're a doctor, lawyer, or whatever the heck they are. You just don't know. Some of the people in our business right now are doctors. And I used to sort of put them up on I shouldn't say, I want to make sure I phrase this right. They used to be on my chicken list. I'm like, why would a doctor want to do this stuff? And in the last couple of days, I've watched presentations from all types of professionals. As a matter of fact, there was one today on a professional, Dr. Gardner, the other day. I mean, there's tons of professionals out there that are really good at what they do. They make a really good income at what they do, but they want to do something different. They want to make an impact. They want to make a difference. Some of them maybe just want to stay at home with their kids and their family. They don't want to go spend 60 or 70 hours at the office. They'd rather spend 60 or 70 hours with their family. So find out who that target person is. Get rid of all the chaff around the edges. Just stay focused. Trust me when I say this, my business changed dramatically because my coach helped me stay focused, helped me get rid of all the chaff, helped me move down the road to being a better leader, contacting and mentoring with the people that I needed to mentor with. And as a result, my life over the next 6, 7, 8 months, 12 months is going to be completely different than the last 12 months. And I know that. Why? Because I just spoke it into existence. And that's just the way it is. So I love you. Jesus loves you. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Go out, make an extreme impact. No more empty refrigerators. Peace out. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Yeah, that's good.